as a hosting company, you're constantly afraid of those disaster situations.
We have to think beyond just simply hosting, right? We have to get into how are we going to empower you to make more money? How are we going to help you build more websites?
We are small, we are humble, we want to listen to feedback and we want the feedback.
Ivapix is one of the popular products for here from Serbia, so everybody likes Ivapix, so I sure think you like that also.
Welcome to Impressive Hosting, where we seek to uncover the core tenets of great WordPress hosting. I'm your host, Jesse Friedman, and we are back with part two. Ivan and Dale from Ivapix are here to continue the great conversation we had last time. Thank you guys again for coming back. Remind me real quick, you guys are distributed, right? You're from, you're all living in different locations?
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah, yes, we're living in different locations. Dale is from Germany, for example. Yep. Well, the rest of the boys and girls are from Serbia and the XU region.
Excellent. Okay, great. So one of the things that we had kicked off the last conversation around was CloudFest and how we met. That was a couple years ago. But last year, you actually made me look like a real rock star. It was a funny anecdote, but basically what happened was it was the end of the day. It was late at night. We were all kind of heading back to our hotels.
Yes.
And I was in a car driving a colleague back to their hotel, and I saw you guys on the street, and I said, "Hey, they're the Ivapix guys." And so we kind of gave you a little beep, and you turned around, you saw us, and you're like, "Jesse, I have something for you. I have a gift for you." Now the person in the car, a colleague, immediately felt like, "Wow, Jesse, you just come to CloudFest and people hand you gifts," because somebody else had handed me something earlier that day. And, as much as I'd like to say that that's the way it happens all the time, it's not true. You guys were really, really kind and wonderful to share something with me. But we ended up hanging out for a minute. You came back down and you handed me this large box of jams and relishes and peppers and all this wonderful food. And that's actually from a client of yours, right?
Yes.
Yes. Food. Yeah, so they run an e-commerce website. Obviously, they're selling their products. But the thing is that it was probably like 20 pounds of this, this wonderful jars of food.
Wow.
So we definitely dug into some of them before we left so that I could lighten my luggage on the way home.
But
they were fantastic.
We were like talking about what food Jesse like. We don't know, and we wanted you to feel like the products of our clients, So that's this is the most beautiful thing. I think it was a great idea. So, and I think you like the products, especially Ivapix. Ivapix is one of the popular products for here from Serbia. So everybody likes Ivapix. So I sure think you like that also. So
yeah, it was fantastic. It's a little hard to get here in the States now, but you got me excited about this. It's like a delicious, roasted pepper spread that you can pretty much put on anything, and now I'm out of it.
Yes.
So, that's a hint if we're going to see each other at CloudFest.
So this year, CloudFest will bring you more. So get an extra luggage. Be prepared.
Yeah.
I'll do that. I'll make sure to do that. I need to know what to get you now. I have to figure this one out.
No.
Something from the States.
No, it's not. This is some types of the things we do here in Serbia for all the friends. So because those small things, I think, are pushing to have a great cooperation and friendship, etc.
Yeah, well, I really brought it home for me, so it felt wonderful. Thank you. All right, so one of the things that we didn't get to touch on last time was automated real-time failover, which was one of the things that you had seen me talk about at CloudFest and really kind of spurred a desire to join the team and become a partner of WP Cloud. For everyone at home, automated real-time failover, what it does is it live syncs your website from one origin center to another. And if there is ever any kind of catastrophic failure to a data center, which, we were talking about this off camera, right? There have been situations where this has happened in the past. We won't name the hosts because there's no reason to make them feel, to call them out or anything. But we have seen in the past where data centers have burned down, where there's been significant catastrophic failure. And the worst case scenarios are when those same hosts are storing backups in the same locations, and then people lose their entire website, and they can't bring it back. And that touches on something else that we talked about too, is that the most stressful moments for customers is when their site goes down. But anyways, automated real-time failover, what it does is it live syncs your database from your database and your site from one data center to another. And if there ever were catastrophic failure, in real time it detects that, and it just reroutes the traffic again to a website that is then on a balanced server that has resources ready and waiting for it, so it doesn't have to wait for anything to spool up or warm up or anything like that. And that's how we got to a place where folks who are using WP Cloud, partners of ours, are providing 4 nines, 5 nines, even sometimes 100% uptime, because we're giving them the confidence to be able to do that. So how has that been for you? Have you experienced any kind of catastrophic failure with WP Cloud? That's kind of a leading question, but
no, for now, hopefully not. But the thing is that I mentioned in the last episode, like that was the spark, because as a hosting company, you're constantly afraid of those disaster situations. So it's not easy to be bulletproof for those disaster situations when you are basically putting all the eggs in one basket, if I can say like that, putting all the websites at some provider of the cloud resources for you. So that spark that you told, that feature, it was the thing which give us how can I say, to feel safe basically with you.
The confidence
So
to feel
the confidence, yeah, and hopefully we don't feel that. But if the things happen, and I can agree, and all you can agree that we don't want that to happen, to anything to be burned down, but the clients will be safe. That's the most important thing. Their sites will be safe, their businesses will be safe, and at the end, our business will be safe. I think we will not mention, but surely the thing which happened to that data center which burned, surely it was hit by financially.
Yeah.
It was hit the reputation, etc. So, and as we are not so big hosting company like them, but if the things like that happen to us, it can surely like destroy us. So now we
Yeah.
are safe. So the clients are safe, sites are safe. So yeah.
Yeah, not
Maybe
to
the
mention
dollar
that you talked about the catastrophic failure being detrimental to that hosting company and being, it could ruin them. But that doesn't even count the thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of websites that are powering businesses and brands and other companies. And those customers are feeling that pain in that moment, scrambling, trying to figure out what to do next, how to get their website back up.
Yeah.
Dale, did you want to jump in there?
Yeah, from a technical standpoint, WP Cloud is great on that front for me basically, as the guy who mainly works now with this like dashboard and thinking of all that stuff. And the best thing is actually I don't have to think about it. If we weren't doing, or we weren't partners of WP Cloud and we just wanted to do the same thing with a strong focus on WordPress hosting, or hosting for WordPress websites and e-commerce sites, we would basically have to do so much on the infrastructure layer to actually support that. And I never did this because I'm not really an infrastructure guy. I'm more of a developer, but I do have at least basic understanding how would I achieve that, or basic idea. And I just don't want to deal with that. Like, not at this point, where, I mean, to be honest, like, we are a really small company. Like, there's only like 10 of us working at a company. We don't even have like millions of clients. So I can't imagine what would actually happen if we even somehow got the infrastructure to work for our number of clients that we currently have. And then somehow that scales up to, I don't know, like 30 times, 50 times more clients. We would have to increase the teams, the infrastructure teams, or even have like dedicated infrastructure teams just for that. So as speaking from the hosting business, basically, this means a lot. This is really something really nice, because also like talking from the past, like before WP Cloud, we were also doing hosting, but it was different everything. And we even use one of these, which we talked in the last episode, one of these big panels, right? Like that dominate the market. So we are coming already from that front. We understand that perspective, and we also understand what happens like if our servers actually burn or something like that. Like there's no support of automatic failover basically between the servers. So from the technical standpoint, it's like for hosting or partners, like hosting companies that are partners of WP Cloud, it means so much actually because they don't have to think about it at all.
Yep.
Right.
Basically, we can optimize our financial resources. We don't need to build a big DevOps team, and we can provide a support for huge amount of the websites with the smallest amount of the people, and that's the most important thing. Right? And that's why the hosting companies are getting hard to scale up because they need to provide a huge amount of financial resources to build the huge infrastructure, and WP Cloud is giving that us basically for free, if I can say.
Well, I like
it's not free;
I like
it's expensive. Yeah, but you know what I want to say. Like
it just comes. It just comes with it.
It just comes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that the thing that we're getting to is that WP Cloud is really designed to house any kind of website, whether it's a small blog or an enterprise level solution with 1 million visitors and tens of thousands of orders a month. But the really great thing about it is because, and we touched on this in the last episode, is that it's API driven. It's accessible in the sense that a hosting company is not gated or anything like that. We want to bring on the people with the best intentions to provide the best experiences to WordPress. And that might mean that you're an enormous hosting company with millions of websites and you want to use WP Cloud, or you could be a much smaller company. But what we care about is that you're providing a great experience to your customers. And that's where WP Cloud can empower you to kind of really focus on, that experience for that customer, which actually brings us back to your panel. Last episode, we talked about how you designed a custom panel so that you wouldn't be reliant on those larger, gigantic cloud platforms, or not cloud platforms, panel platforms, or panel companies. One of the things I want to point out about Ivapix that I love is that you mentioned you're a small team, but whoever's designing your sites and your panel, they know what they're doing. I love the look of your website, and the panel looks like it's really user experience driven rather than just trying to bolt on a bunch of different features. Tell me a little about the design process, the user experience. How did you go about actually designing the components that you wanted to put into the panel? How did you figure out where you wanted to focus your efforts, and what products or features did you want to expose to your customers?
Yep.
Dale, I can talk about the design.
Yeah, maybe you say something about the design first, and then I can talk a bit more on the user experience side.
Yes, because from the design perspective, I'm the guy like responsible. I like beautiful things. I like simple things. I like that user experience thing. I have a small kid, and when I provide to my little boy who is 5 years old, he instantly knows how to do with the icons on the smartphone, So the user experience on that is great. Yeah, if that kid can know how to use the smartphone now in these days, then the older people like need to use the panel for the WordPress hosting to be simple as much as possible. And we have a great guy in the team who is designer, who is building all the wishes I commend to him, but he's also correcting me. And at the end, the technical guy, like Dale, is correcting us constantly and giving us, okay, we need to simple these things up. We need to speed up these things, the too much steps here, and etc. So, and Dale, can you continue now?
It's basically it comes down to what would actually user want to do when he gets on this page. So speaking from one of the unique features of our panel is that organizational aspect that a bunch of other panels actually do not have. So I would like to point out that when we were thinking about how, like, what actually happens on the user side of the panel, like obviously we do have an administration or like how would I name that? Like a layout, different layout for admins and support people, which they can basically access all sites as usual. Nothing crazy about that. But on the user side, it's strictly we didn't want to just have like, yeah, okay, you have your sites, you click that, and if I have like 200 sites, I just get all 200 sites in some table-like format, and then what? Like I have to search for one by some query or filter or something, and I have pagination, and then I open one, and there's just a bunch of information there. So no, we said no, that actually doesn't really make sense. Instead, what we do is like we offer an organizational entity which you must create. We call that a workspace. Workspace also has it must have an owner, obviously. The owner can actually invite other members as collaborators of that workspace, so and limit access to what resources these members of workspace can access to. And you can have an infinite number of workspaces. So all of your sites and I guess later we can also touch point on that, because we also want to offer easy DNS zone hosting next to your site, so you don't have to go like into different panels, different websites, dashboards, kinda, to really get like, oh, I want a DNS zone and I need to register a domain. Like we think that it should be done like from the same place. Like while you are there, you're buying the hosting plan, you can also just register the domain in the same step, basically, and then all of those things will be kind of combined in this workspace, right? So you can organize those like with this feature. I think the freelancers will really, like freelance developers, will actually really appreciate it the most, because they can actually just create workspace per client immediately when they start working on these websites. And having the possibility to later transfer these websites to the client that they built for. Like, for example, I remember I was freelancing some years ago, basically, and I always had this issue like opening different account per client, then logging out, logging in, and all that stuff. Now that doesn't exist anymore with this new panel of Ivapix, because we just can, you can just like create a workspace, you name that client 1, you have 3 sites for that client, they're all hosted there, you have resources assigned, and everything is like smoothly working. And then you get a new client, no problem, you create a new workspace. Now that's client 2. Client 2 has like 15 websites, no worries, you create 15 websites. And then you can even into client 1 workspace invite, I don't know, like a accountant, for example. So and you put a role like this dude is like a biller or an accountant. I don't know what's the role name from top of my head. And yeah, he can just see the billing resources, basically, and even manage the billing resources if you give the access to. So he can change like credit card.
So inside the workspace, you can assign different roles, and then assign those roles the ability to see different components of the panel. So your accountant can bill all of your clients, but they don't necessarily have the ability to change the DNS of the website.
Correct. Yes, exactly. Correct.
Yeah, it seems to really be empowering the workflow of agencies and freelancers so that they can. That I love that integrated workflow into the panel, because I think this is what we kind of touch on all the time with this podcast as well, is that we have to think beyond just simply hosting, right? We have to get into how are we going to empower you to make more money? How are we going to help you build more websites? How are you going to get more billable hours because we're saving you time with something? And so, that's really the goal, as we said before with WP Cloud, is to empower folks like yourselves to build out solutions that are going to cater to those needs. And every single hosting company has the opportunity to do something to carve out a different solution or a different niche or solve for a different problem. And that's where the diversity in hosting, I think, is really powerful within the WordPress community. And you guys are exemplifying that. You guys are a great example of that. So. But the actual design of the panel too is it's very sleek.
Might come back to that for a moment. The design is actually powered by it's actually open source design system.
No
it's
kidding.
It's based on the Google's Material Design, and from the tech stack, the front end application is built on React. So we just use their component library called MUI, or like MUI. To build that, and I think it's why we chose that because it's really, as you just mentioned, it really looks slick. It has like these little animations, like the ripple effects and stuff like that. And this is another thing which we don't really have to focus on because, as I said, we are a small company. We don't have time and resources to spend like 6 months designing a graph or something like that. Like we can't afford that.
We are just
But on the
elevating
other side, yeah,
already
exactly.
design.
So we just use the provided components, and we even like there's some additional components that are paid. We even bought the license. So yeah, we based the design on that. But then this just helps like only halfway through, right? We still have to design the features and what component to use, and then align the design of the panel with the design of the website as well. So that work is actually happening really, or it's done by our designer. And as Ivan just said, like there's like a bunch of going back and forth, right? Like he designed something which is like a kind of wireframe, then we put some design on top of that, then we just go back and forth, like, no, this is not great because we can simplify it like that, but then we lose the possibility to do this. And then how, like this, for example, step wizard form thingy is like way too complicated. We have to make it simpler. How do we make it simpler? Like, do we just remove some use cases, or it is tricky, but I wouldn't really call it like that big of a problem. And we actually even enjoy, like, as long as the discussions are constructive and positive, it's really nice. We even have fun doing it.
So if you were, people who are listening to this podcast, they could be hosting companies who are interested in hearing about what else is going on in the industry. It could be agencies, people who are building their own websites at home. The whole goal of this podcast really is to uncover what makes great hosting so that we can set a higher standard for it. So let me ask you this. When you're building a new panel, when you're building new infrastructure, user interface for end customers, what would you advise people at home who are listening to think about how are you creating a connection with the people who are using your products? Are you listening to them? Are you interviewing them? Are you watching how they're using the products? Like, I think one of the things that hosting companies struggle with is, and I think agencies will speak to this as well, is that there isn't a lot of two-way communication happening. Agencies have a lot of needs. They want an integrated workflow. They want things to work a certain way. But hosting companies are also very focused on typically selling and acquiring customers. And I think a lot of times there isn't this two-way line of communication. And so I'm curious, did you open up lines of communication? Did you interview agencies?
Yes.
Like, how did you do that?
Yeah. We basically, when we partnered, we instantly started talking with all of our clients. We know that they're paying before, and we instantly started talking. We asked them, what do you want? What do you want for us to provide you? Especially we talk with the agencies. And the agencies, for example, wanted a tool like Dale mentioned, the workspace. They wanted to spin everything as fast as possible. Create a workspace, put the websites up, even to build the websites if they have time for that in the trial period, something like that. And then later they delegate the workspace to the client, and the client now just enter the billing information. That's about it. So that's the thing with the agencies wanted, and the clients wanted to simplify the things. Before, everything was complicated for them. We have a constant calls where I can create a website, how to do this, where to log in, etc. Yeah. So talking with them, we lower the amount of the calls of the clients to complain about everything if they need to complain. But basically, the complaints were not the complaints. They just didn't know how to do that on the older panel. Now they know. Yeah. So
it's far more intuitive. It's a more
far
natural
more. Yeah.
And there's also, before doing this, we were also one of these agencies, like doing development and needing certain things that these agencies also have. So from our experience, we already can come, if not to the full solution that we want to offer, we already have a general direction where we want to go, with some functionality. And additionally, in the future, once the panel is actually I'd say released, open to the rest of the basically whole world, and everyone can just sign up, go there, pick a number of websites they want to host and what resources they want on each of those websites, they can really just achieve that, right? And once that happens, there will be like also channels where our customers of the panel could be agencies or freelancers or even like non-technical individual users. They will have like channels towards us, first of all through a 24/7 support pretty much, but also through different forms in the panel, like I think I actually saw that on the like Google search, where you can just provide a feedback on result set and stuff like that. We will have channels like that as well, where they can just give their opinion, like, hey, this is very bloated, it doesn't work, it's slow, whatever. And then we obviously will have a look and investigate and see if what we can do to make it better. And as you said, set a higher standard.
Because basically, we migrated if we can say that we were like a shared hosting provider before, and the clients paid a small amount for those types of services. They were gladly migrating to this new panel. Yes, the prices for them were higher because it is a premium hosting solution, but they will do that gladly. It's completely different way. Now in the hosting industry, the shared hosting is like constantly going with the prices down and down. The quality is going down. But with this, the clients want better. They want to pay more, and that's the thing. They want to have a simple solution, and it's not a problem for them, to pay expensive price for the hosting. Yeah.
For a great product.
And by expensive, we don't mean hundreds of dollars either.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So as a core tenant, then, would you say it's important that a hosting company continues to create that open line of communication between their end customers, and how do you think that agencies feel knowing that they can do that with you, that they can talk to you, that they can give you feedback on these products? Do you think it makes them more likely to stick around, to stay with your product when they're listened to?
Yeah.
Yes.
I would just like to say, like, do you like when you go somewhere, you say something and you actually feel listened and like you feel appreciation from the other side? Because for me, that is true. Like even in the like very common everyday scenarios, like at the store and something like that, like it's nice when there is someone on the other side to actually listen to the customer and even like just take the feedback into consideration, like even not do anything about it, because sometimes it's not possible due like to technical limitation, or it's just not possible because the user who you just complained to, like administrator, for example, cannot really change that. But just saying this feedback out loud and it gets received on the other end. I think that's very important in any relationship. And we are small, we are humble, we want to listen to feedback and we want the feedback. We are not saying, nah, you don't know anything. Yeah. We are not arrogant in any way. You know what I mean? Like we would appreciate if actually our customers come to us and using different channel, either support or forms through the panel and everything. There will be like obviously different channels, and like we would like to hear what they think. Like we would like to iterate on those feedbacks that we get from them and make the product even greater.
Yeah. I think you have a unique advantage that you were building for yourselves, right? You were your own best customer, obviously coming from having worked in these flows and having, known what you need to build and using it every day for yourselves. But it probably also means that you have an empathetic ear, that that as an agency yourselves in the past or building websites for customers, you know what the stressors are. You know how frustrating it can be to have things out of your control. So I would definitely put down that a core tenet of great hosting is being able to listen to your customers and be able to hear from them. And we've heard about a variety of examples of this. In a previous episode, Tom Finelli from Convesio mentioned that they use Slack to have a direct line of communication with their customers. Bluehost Cloud is making sure to have 24/7 phone support, so you can call and get tier 3, and you can give feedback that way. I think you guys are doing a great job of setting a higher standard there as well, and making sure that customers feel heard. I think that's wonderful. That being said, though, we are again out of time, and so another great episode down. Thank you guys both for coming on, and I look forward to seeing you in person in a couple weeks.
Yes, yeah.
Of course. Would you guys come back if we circle around, come back again?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I think that will be great.
Awesome.
Right. Why not? We had fun.
Awesome. Great. All right. Good talking to you then. Everyone at home, thank you very much. This has been another episode of Impressive Hosting. And make sure you like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Impressive Hosting, where we uncover the core tenets of great WordPress hosting. Do you have a follow-up question for today's guest, thought or comment on anything we talked about, a future guest suggestion, a hosting horror story? What do you think makes great WordPress hosting? All your comments shape this show. Drop them on impressive.host. We also appreciate you following us on social media and subscribing to the podcast on your favorite platform. Finally, do check out our list of open source projects that need support at impressive.host. Whether it's code, community, or cache, you can make a difference. See you next time.